Hello and welcome to English 1-to-1. My name is Lily. While working on board a cruise line, I have visited around 60 countries around the world. And this is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. I know that to talk about nearly 60 countries that I visited while working on board the cruise line, it will be quite a long journey to share with you in one video. So this is the reason why I have decided to separate it between experiences. Okay, so I actually have here a map with some notes, and I have classified them between like greatest adventure, craziest adventure, best underwater experience, most beautiful sunset, and some others. Okay, so well, I will start with the greatest adventure. I consider that the greatest adventure I had was kayaking in the Norwegian fjords. Well, this was definitely a breathtaking experience, not just because kayaking is an sport that I actually enjoy, and I have done it in more than one place. I have actually done this in St. Martin and some other Caribbean island and the Norwegian fjords. Why was this one so special? It's because we were going through the fjords, and the fjords are considered one of the most beautiful sceneries around the world. If you haven't seen one of them, well, if you are listening to this episode, Googling will be a great option. But if you're watching this video, then I will just drop some pictures around here where you can actually see this beauty or this wonder of the world. And the second category I have chosen to share with you is the craziest adventure. Well, the craziest adventure was actually venturing myself, well, together with a friend, going out at night in St. Petersburg. Now, why was this a crazy adventure? All right, okay, you're going out at night in a country that you don't know. Well, yeah, that's true. That is partially crazy already because we didn't speak the language. And of course, to communicate with people was really a challenge. The second challenge was actually to get to the center of the town because late at night, we decided to take a taxi to get there. But to come back, that was the part where we were challenged because St. Petersburg, the port area and the center of the city, is divided by a bridge. And this bridge happened to open during certain hours, which is between midnight and 5 o'clock in the morning, I believe, which means that no car, bus, or anything can go from the center to the port area. Meaning if you go out late at night, the only way that you have to get back is to wait until 5 o'clock in the morning when the cars are finally allowed because the bridge is set together again, and then you can cross the bridge. Of course, that's what we had to do. We went out like at 11 o'clock when we finished work because we were spending overnight in St. Petersburg, which is one of the most interesting ports on the Baltic route of the ship. So we went out, spent the night outside. We went to a disco, a very popular one in the center, and we just decided to hang out there until it was 5 o'clock in the morning. A crazy part is that we were starting our shifts at 7 a.m. in the morning, which means we came just straight to work. But if that wasn't enough, when we had to take the taxi, as I mentioned before, of course, none of us spoke Russian in that moment, and the taxi drivers couldn't understand where we were going. So and I'm talking about 2012, I believe, where of course we didn't have maps on our phones. Like smartphones were a thing that appeared in 2014. So back in 2012, it was a real challenge to get somewhere without a map, and we didn't have like a paper map either. We just thought, yeah, this is a very popular place, so we would just take a taxi back early in the morning. Turns out it wasn't that easy at all. We were trying to explain with our hands. He noticed that we were foreigners, and I remember that there was one song in Russian that I liked before, and the name of this song was Karabli. And I knew that the meaning of this word was boat. So my only source was to tell the only Russian word that I knew, which was Karabli. So when I said Karabli, I think he quite understood that we were crew members trying to get to the port. So he started driving us back and he came to a port. But that was not the port where our ship docked. Why? Because the port where we were docked at was actually a new one that wasn't even on the map, because after that we stopped at the gas station. He asked for a map, and he asked the guy at the gas station how to get there, and look at the map. Well, the port wasn't there because it was very new. They just constructed it, I think, or they finished constructing it like a year before the. So that was challenging. And in lucky tournament event, actually some friends happened to pass by in a taxi also, and we were like, oh, look, those are our friends, follow that. We were like in the movies, right? Follow that car. And the taxi driver understood, because our friends were like, hey, like they were waving at us as they were passing by in the taxi. So we were like, follow. And that's what he did. We quickly got in the taxi, and that's it. We followed the taxi and we arrived, I believe, 10 minutes before 7. We ran as fast as we could, and we made it just on time. I don't know how quickly I changed. What did I do? I didn't have breakfast. I didn't sleep at all. Well, I was, of course, younger and stronger and with much more energy, and I could handle those kind of situations. So yeah, that's why I consider this one of the craziest adventures, because we were very close to actually miss our ships, or to not even find where the port was. The third category I have chosen is the best underwater experience. While working on the ship, you have tons of underwater experiences, especially if you work in the shore excursions department, which is where I work. And even if you don't work there, come on, you arrive to a port of the time. So there are a lot of places like you can go on tours and visit and experience, right? But I chose snorkeling beneath the pitons. The pitons are two beautiful green mountains located in a Caribbean island called St. Lucia. Once again, I think my words are not going to be enough to explain the beauty of this place, but basically we took a boat ride of about 1.5 hours from the port to the pitons, and right beneath the area where they give us the snorkel equipment. And wow, that was a really amazing experience. I will never forget it, especially because I don't know how to swim. Yeah, I know this is a paradox. I work on the ship for nearly 7 years, but I don't know how to swim. Well, according to some people, I'm just not a strong swimmer. But in my own opinion, I just don't know, because I'm just very scared of water. Oh, I'm not scared of water, because if I would be scared of water, if I had been scared of water, I will never experience all those things. But while snorkeling, you are wearing a vest, all right, that keeps you afloat. And with this vest, of course, I was just fine. I wasn't scared of anything, because I knew that I was not going to sink. I think that is my fear of sinking, and this is the reason why I was always scared of water activities. But once again, wearing a life jacket, I was just 100% sure nothing was going to happen. All right. The fourth category, the Oscar goes to, well, the most beautiful sunset. Again, working on the ship, sunsets, beautiful sunsets, it's something that you get to see pretty much every single day there. But maybe if you have a cabin which doesn't have a window, Of course, that's going to be more difficult, but still, you get to see it from a window, from the restaurant, or from whatever place you work. However, the most beautiful sunset I got to experience, and it was because of the location where I was sitting, it was from the ship's bridge. How did I get to the ship's bridge? Because it's not easy, not even for a crew member. Like a lot of crew members work there for years and they never get to visit the bridge because this is an exclusive area that only the Marines enter, right? Because they have all the commands, they are driving the ship, and not everyone gets to experience that. And in fact, I guess they paid while I was working there, and I was also guiding one of these tours when I became part of the shore excursions. People pay no less than $90 to do a tour of the crew areas. Look how curious people are about getting to know a little bit, because it's really a little bit of how crew members live, is that they pay this amount, and part of the tour is going, of course, to the bridge. If the captain is there, of course, you get to say hi to him, right? But it's a very nice area, which is all in glass, because of course they need to have like a 360 area of view. And I remember this opportunity when I came there. I wasn't working as a shore excursion. In fact, it was my very first contract when I was working in the restaurant. How did I get there then? Because I didn't have any chance. Well, I became very good friend with a girl from Belarus. And this girl was dating the captain in secret. At the beginning in secret, because then everyone realized and they were not hiding anymore, and then everyone knew that they were dating. Well, long story short, she was invited to go for a dinner with the captain and the first officer, and I think, yeah, that's it, the first officer, the captain, and her. You know, to have a dinner with the captain and the first officer on board the ship is like the most exclusive thing that you can do. I don't know, it's like if you have a job, you have dinner with the CEO of your company. It's kind of similar to that. And well, I remember she told me if I would like to have a dinner, because we were doing an overnight in St. Petersburg also. And I said, okay, I yeah, like when I finished work, which was around 11 o'clock. And then she told me, okay, so get ready quickly and please meet me at this place because we are going for dinner. And I said, okay, so I got dressed, I came very quickly. And then she told me that we were having dinner together with the captain. And I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that at all. I was, of course, I was a bit nervous. I cannot say I was very nervous because it was a dinner. It wasn't nothing formal, and it was a friendly dinner. So we came, we had an amazing dinner because, of course, they served the best things for the captain, and I was so honored to be their guest. So I think I was lucky because I became friends with the right girl on board the ship. And of course, after having a dinner at the captain's, it's not a cabin because he has a whole apartment on the ship. And then he invited us to the bridge, and the bridge has a sofa, like again, a very exclusive sofa for the captain only. And he said that we were going to be able to enjoy one of the most beautiful sunsets in his opinion. And he's a captain, and he was very well experienced, and he didn't lie. Of course, we waited there because by that time, in St. Petersburg, was happening what is known as the White Nights. If you ever heard about it, it's 3 weeks when the sunset never sets actually. So when we came to the bridge, of course, it was sunny because it was like almost midnight and it was sunny, but the sun was actually down, but it never gets to set, which means it never disappears really. All right, so and then the next day it raises again and it goes on like that. And yes, there you go. That was the most beautiful sunset, one of the craziest experiences at the same time, because I never thought I was just a new hire, and I was gonna have a dinner with the captain and the first officer. All right. Okay. Now moving on, the most beautiful scenery. Well, the most beautiful sceneries, because I chose actually two, were both in Norway. Norway is a country that can take your breath away, really. The places that you see there is those places that you see in the movies. I don't even know what movie, but probably a movie fits this place. And one of the most beautiful ones that I got to see on my very first contract was Geringer. Geringer, in Norway, we actually did a biking tour, which is actually the same port from where I did the kayaking, which it was, I mentioned to you at the beginning, I consider it the greatest adventure. And the most beautiful scenery, was actually right there because we took a biking tour. So a biking tour first, a car took us up to the mountain, and there were snow-capped mountains. So all the way up, it was all snow, it was all white, and the view from there, well, I would never be able to describe it with words. Maybe I would drop some picture around here for you to imagine, because I'm not really good at describing such a beauty. And well, as we were going down with the bicycles, of course, the snow started to melt and started to disappear, and it became greener and greener. And we were lucky enough that during this day it was sunny. So when we were at the part where the snow was, it was actually shiny and beautiful. And why I say it's also that we were lucky, because it's not like it's sunny all the time, even though it's summer, right? As we know, in these countries, they have a very short time for summer, and the number of days that they have sunny days, you can also count them maybe with both hands, if not with one. The second most beautiful scenery was in Honningsvåg. Honningsvåg, it's also located in Norway, and I did an ATV tour. ATV stands for all track vehicle, which in Spanish is these little motorbikes with four wheels. I can't remember right now the name, but that is the adventure. It's like open air, a small bike, right? And we went through the mountains in Norway as well. Of course, it was a guided tour. I was right behind the guide, and he was explaining us the places. Even though we went with the guide, it was total adventure, because we stopped just few times for basically for pictures. And well, again, I'm not gonna be good enough to describe these places. Beautiful, sunny, snow-capped mountains, and you are driving your own ATV along this place. And the best thing is that there were almost no people other than us, so it's like you have the whole scenery for yourself. Okay, I know I've shared a lot of great, passionate adventures and beautiful stories, but of course there is always a sad side or a sad story. The saddest story actually took place while I was on board. And what happened is that at 5 o'clock in the morning, there was an alarm sounding. You know, the crew members, we have different codes for different types of events. And this time it was Oscar. When the code Oscar sounds, means that there is a man overboard. And we were like 5 o'clock in the morning, Oscar, 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 which when it's an emergency, it sounds in every single cabin. So there is no way that you do not wake up. And this is the reason why they do it. Because if there is another code such as Alpha, which is a medical emergency, and some others, I can't remember them all. But Oscar, I remember it clearly because it's part of the story. And it sounded, so I remember that was a very short period of time when I actually had a cabin with a window. So I woke up, I stood up from my bed, and when it's Oscar, you are not part unless you are part of the I don't know, the Marines. Then you take place on this kind of emergencies. In our case, we just need to stay alert in case there is a new call and we need to leave our cabins. This was not the case. We just stayed there, and I looked through the window and I saw that the lights from the outside, because, well, I didn't say this, but it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and the lights turned on from the ship, from the outside part of the ship, because during the night, just like the bridge is illuminated and some small lights, but this time it was a very bright light illuminating one part of the sea, which is dark, dark, dark at that time. And I didn't know what was happening really. And since I couldn't see, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, okay, that's it. I don't need to participate on this. I just went back to sleep. The next day, I actually understood, or I finally got information of what happened. They actually found a boat with 18 people, all of them Cubans, that were navigating. They were not navigating, they were lost on the sea for, I think, 21 days. I don't remember that very well either, but it was nearly 3 weeks. And they were seen from the bridge. That is very difficult, because if we hadn't found them, none of them would survive. But by the time that they were rescued, they were really, really skinny. They could barely stand, because imagine being on the sea for more than 20 days without food and without water. What happened is that they tried to go from Cuba to Key West. You know that the distance between Cuba and Key West is actually not that far. And so this is the reason why a lot of Cubans, they take the risk to go from one side to the other in these like raft boats, like boats that they are not that strong, maybe for the current or for the wind. And the engine got on fire when they were not far. They said that they could even see the shore, but they were not. I don't know how many. I don't know, 1 kilometer, maybe even less, that they could see the shore. The engine got on fire, and all the water that they had, which was just for, like, for a few hours to go from one side to the other, they used it to put the fire down. And with that, the wind and the current just start taking them away, away, and away. And that's it. Nobody saw them. Nobody could rescue them before, and some of them were families. And even to think about it, I think until now it makes me very sad. Oh my God. Because there were families that of 3 or 4 that only one of the members survived. And there was a woman that she was very skinny, and she actually took this risk together with her husband and her little kid, and both of them passed away, and she was the only one who survived. And basically there were some other, of course, sad. All of the stories were sad. Which one was not? The people who survived did not almost die, but they lost probably everything they had, not just because of the material thing, but because of lives. That is something that you cannot get in return ever, right? And well, they were on board the ship for around 3 days. The medical team took care of them. They feed them until we arrived to the next port, which was in Cozumel. And the worst, in my opinion, is that they were taken back to Cuba. Imagine paying, I don't know how much money they probably paid for trying to reach the US, and on top of that, you lose, of course, more than money. And when you go back, they probably were gonna face some, um, I don't know, they probably will go to jail because Cuba is also a country that is very strict with their politics or their citizens when they go abroad, especially if they try to go illegally. I don't know how that story ended when they were back in their countries, but yes, that is the saddest story that I got to see, to experience. But well, let's move on to the next category. I think this video is going too far too long, and I lied to you when I said that this was going to be the second part. This is actually going to be a third part about the life on board the cruise. But well, the next category is the friendliest people. The friendliest people I met was in Cozumel, Mexico. Well, the Mexican people, I always get along with Mexicans. I don't know if that is because, of course, I am Latina or what is that, but some of my best friends ever on the ships were all Mexicans. And while in Cozumel, all the tour operators were so amazing, so friendly, so giving all the time that I love every time we were going to that port. And luckily, I got to see Cozumel, I don't know, no less than 50 times, probably, no less. And every time I was going on a different adventure, they were taking us for a VIP lunch, for VIP tour. So all my experiences in Mexico with the people especially were amazing. And this is a place that I would definitely like to go, all right? I would like to go to all of them, but Mexico is the closest. Yes, definitely the friendliest and most beautiful human beings that I got to meet was in Cozumel, Mexico. And the next category is the most desired place. The most desired place I wanted to visit was Santorini. Well, two. One was Santorini. I think I mentioned this in the previous video, is because when I was a kid, I had a computer which had a wallpaper, and the wallpaper featured these different destinations around the world. I don't know, the Taj Mahal. One of them was Santorini, and when I saw Santorini, I was like, wow, beautiful white houses with blue roofs. I want to go to that place, and I got to visit Santorini. That for me, that was a dream that came true. The other place was St. Petersburg. Because the same story, I saw a picture on the wallpaper of the Church of St. Petersburg, all right? When I was a kid, I was calling it the church with the onions. In fact, when when people could choose to vote for the new seven wonders of the world, and Machu Picchu became one of them. Actually, the church, which is located in Moscow, not in St. Petersburg, I forgot the name right now, but well, you probably know what I'm talking about. That was among one of the participants of this of the new seven wonders of the world. Unfortunately, it didn't make it, but I remember I voted for that because that was one of my favorite places, and I so wanted to see one of the churches. And there is another one, beautiful one in St. Petersburg. In general, just St. Petersburg is like, as one friend once said, there is a palace next to a palace and after a palace. So the beautiful places that you get to see in St. Petersburg are infinite. You can visit a palace and then the next day another palace. I don't know for how long, month, 2 months, I don't know. At the place and the architecture in that city is wow, amazing. Again, I don't have another word. I think I need to diversify that. Well, and the next one, okay, will be the most memorable place. I'm sorry, guys, that I have only two left, and this is one of them. The most memorable place I've been to is St. Martin, which is another Caribbean island. It's what is interesting about this island is that it is divided into two different areas, because you have the French area of Saint Martin and you have like the part that belongs to the Netherlands. Okay, so in one part of the island they speak French, and in the other part they speak Dutch and English. Well, the French part they also speak English, but it's very interesting because it's one small island. It's like you have two different countries. Now, why did it become the most memorable place? Because this is one of the first ports that I get to see when on my first contract, and I came back there several times, and also because I got to meet a lot of special people in this port, and technology was very cheap, and it was there were real things, they weren't fake, and also clothes like brand clothes and those kind of things were very cheap, so it was a place that I enjoy walking. The beach was beautiful and nice restaurants as well, and so it was a combination of everything, and this is what it makes the most memorable place. The last one is the most amazing place I've been to. I'm not gonna lie to you, the most amazing place I've been to are all of them. uh, I actually, before I made this little long podcast, I went through some of my Facebook um, photos, because before I used to have like an album for each place. All right, I think I stopped doing that like 10 years ago already, but I did it before, and actually I am very thankful to my young self because that helped me remember all these places. Um, After visiting all these places, it's nice to look back and say, "Wow, I I can't believe I can't believe myself when I look at myself in those pictures." In France, in Kotor, Montenegro, places that I haven't mentioned here, Venice, Italy, Pisa, Greece, Turkey, Sadar, Croatia, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Grand Cayman, Dominica, St. Thomas, St. Croix, Barbados, Aruba, St. Kitts, oh, Curacao. I'm not gonna finish, of course. Okay, but yes, guys, the most amazing places I've been to are all of them, because each place has its beauty. And well, I am very happy. And that was one of the things about my previous podcast, is that if you are young, I would definitely recommend working on a cruise line. Is one in a lifetime experience. I wouldn't recommend staying there your whole life, but there are people who does it and it goes very well. You continue to travel the world. And of course, after that, I didn't stop. I continued to travel the world, of course. But that's probably going to be another podcast. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. If you still till this point of the podcast, well, you are my hero because I wouldn't listen to myself this long. Okay, so thank you once again, and stay tuned for the third part of this podcast, which is going to be my life on board. How do you actually live in the ship? And you will not believe what. See ya.